Well, hello there, folks. SeKo Starcraft back with Game 3 between Innovation and Soulkey. Was probably the most important matchup out of Korea over the last several months, ever since the really great rivalry they broke upon each other, taking a couple of tournaments from each other at the highest of levels. But so far it's been a little bit of a one-sided stomping. Innovation coming across with two good wins, one really late, one mid-game. Very standard straight-up play from Innovation, obviously with his unbeatable godly mechanics. And two different plays from Soulkey. One was just ling, baneling, muta like you see from most zergs at the high level these days against terran. And the second game was a higher roach commitment at the beginning, where he tried to put some pressure on. But I think he overcommitted into those roaches, and that ate up a lot of the resources he needed for that higher muta count number. And where he had great advantages in the first game with his mobility and counterattacks, in the second game it was essentially once the pressure was on by Innovation, the pressure never stopped. And there's no ability for Soulkey to really turn things around. Top myself up. I guess I'd call it a dirty mojito. It's a gin mojito with a little bit of bourbon in it. A little Tennessee whiskey for you. And man, is it tasty. For those people that are into such things, it is well worth the enjoyment. Once again, we are going to see a command center first on the low ground from Innovation. No, actually, high ground. Did they do high ground both games? No, I think the second game, because it was a 4-player map, it was a low ground. But this game is a 2-player map. Gwengali Beach, where you can go and sit down and enjoy these unbreakable lawn chairs and umbrellas. You should be able to drive tanks over this, but it won't. And I've never seen a game on here go really late. So I might actually have to look through the replays from WCS and see if there's a late game on here, because I've never seen anybody take this base. I've never seen these bases get taken. So we'll see if this is the game, or if I'm going to have to go do a little bit of hunting. Scout going out for Innovation. We haven't seen anything really funky from Innovation in the start. No cheese, no Reaper push. You know, that classic Hellion, 6 to 8 Hellion part where you just run around the map and control space. But nothing really funky, just the most standard of play at the highest of level. But out of Soulkey, what we've seen that has been really effective from what I loved about Game 1 was the burrowed zerglings everywhere for vision. And I think the only thing that was missing from his play that would allow him to be even more elite was just staying a little bit further ahead on his economy. Game 1 had I think the perfect strategy, but he didn't have the economy backing it to really keep himself ahead. Game 2, strategy was a little bit off, even though the economy was there. Speed ready to start as soon as the pool was finished. Really maxing ahead on his economy. Really wants to make sure that he's got the speed for defense, but also he's got himself a good amount of economy to stay alive with. Couple links heading across the map like they always do. No, they're not heading across the map. I forgot that your easiest third base on Gwengali Beach is blocked. This is generally where you see a lot of people end up taking it. It's a pretty good base to take. I mean, you can defend it with some high ground stuff. But instead, we're going to have the unit name Unbreakable Rocks D. I think it's Unbuildable Rocks Destructible. That's what I was probably supposed to say. And I find that so funny. In a map where they spend so much time polishing out everything. Like, look at these flowers. Those gorgeous. They got this cool road with the off-ramp here for the rest zone, which I think is a little bit favoring of the person in the bottom left, so it's not symmetrical. You know, that nice shrubbery. We can go find somebody who does nice shrubbery. You know, we've got these buildings with the nice signs, we got the beach chairs, and we also have unit name Unbuildable Rocks Destructible, topping that off well. And we also, I believe, have bricks. Bricks. The unbuildable bricks. So in this game, we don't see that hyper fast third. Well, it's not going to say it's hyper fast. 6 minutes is fast. 7 minutes is fairly standard. I consider that fairly fast, coming out of the Zerg player. Units wise, a little bit of a lead in economy, but we do have that third CC down about the same time as that third hatch, so the Terran player is not going to be doing too bad. Still keeping on just the one gas, trying to macro as heavily as possible. Yes. Yes. Good stuff. Couple Hellions out here just to poke around a bit. They're going to see that third base. Not going to be able to do much with it. They just know that it's there. There's a few more lings popping out now. There's only a couple of Hellions, so they're not really going to want to tangle too much. Another pile of lings coming out. So he's going to have to be very careful with those Hellions. Making sure not to lose them. He's only got the 2. And you notice he only made the 2 Hellions, then immediately moved into tanks. And I think this was very calculated. I think Innovation read into this situation that he was going to get Roach Baneling rushed. Which is very, very common. But I think it's a bit of a misread. We see the double Evo chamber upgrades, the 3rd hatch, and everything else there. And it's not like this is going to be too detrimental to the Terran, because he does have that there command center finishing up as well. Pretty good spot up here for the tank on the high ground if you really wanted to use it. Soulkey see what he needed to from this. He just wants to check the timing of this 3rd CC and make sure that his opponent isn't going for anything too funky on 2 bases. There's a pretty small mains on this map. You gotta really do really good control of where your buildings are placed, and it's somewhat beneficial because there's not a lot of room for mutas or drops to really run around the outside. You run into the edge of the map really tight, and you don't see that on a lot of maps designed for tournaments, because it gives a lot of favor to the defending person, meaning that units take a lot of damage to try to run past. Still just the 2 Hellions out there. Couple more barracks, starport on the way. We haven't seen any more tanks. That first tank was just to make sure he doesn't get bum rushed. We actually have a 4th base going down for Soulkey, which I think is the perfect decision at this point, knowing that his opponent is still macroing up and not really pushing out right now. The Zerglings get shot in the face with a tank shell. It's always a bad thing. If you do that, you're gonna have a bad time. Kind of a funky run around here. I'm interested to see if any players exploit that. It seems so strange that I almost never see it get used. These overlords will see anything that's running around the corner there. So he's got pretty good vision of the south. But we don't have that Zergling burrow that I thought Soulkey had that was so important for him in that first game. He's not even researching it. Spire is much faster. Well, actually, no, he's been getting about the 10-minute mark his other games. But having that burrowed Zergling wall out front just lets you know where you stand at all times. The Terran has to move out in clumps unless they're drops. Yeah, we're gonna have a bit of a run around. Cute. This Overlord's going to give a pretty good vision of everything that's happening. Oh, he does see the Hellions at the bottom there. He's on creep now. That Hellion does have a limited shelf life. Pretty good view of everything out here. Sees the Marauders. He gets the chance to see what the upgrades are on the units. 2-2 is out faster for Soulkey. Let's see how far behind the Terran is on that. Neglecting him slightly. I don't know if that's a mistake. I would expect them to get started here pretty fast because he does have the resources to at least get one of them on the go. Good creep spread. It's interesting to the beach chairs. Like, you could go to a creep beach and watch throbbing creep tumors. Baneling speed almost finished up. Doesn't that look nice? It's majestic to be in the water there. That looks so comfy. Shooting creep tumors in the water where you're wading in. It's a megaphone that's in the water. That doesn't make sense to me at all. Widowmines are down. Killing the creep. It's very important. The baneling speed is not finished yet, so I don't think this would be worthwhile for Soulkey to engage into. There it is. Now he's got the big army piles. Pretty big hits from the widowmines there. And look at how much Army of Innovation survived. Those hits from the widowmines were sick. Pretty beat up units here right now, though. He doesn't have any more widowmines to help out. These units are getting surrounded and trapped here. Very smartly keeping the overseers with the army, taking out those widowmines as they happen. we got this little bit of back and forth we saw in game 1 where the supply leads kind of bounce a little bit. The creep kill was very important during that. Creep's still moving to the north, but the engagement path of the Terran here is keeping it in the shallows of this water. And that creep is going to be pretty important for the surrounds he needs on those units. Innovation not having the splash damage he needs, retreats home, making sure he can get out enough widowmines. This just straight up Marauder Marine army is good, but without that widowmine splash damage, it's really tough. Those are what win engagements, really. If you can go in there, you can stand toe-to-toe with Marine Marauder against the kind of composition that the Zerg has. But those widowmine hits, if they go well, it turns an engagement that might be close into one that's unbelievably one-sided. Widowmines are down, they're guarding the beach chairs. Marauders trying to stick into the front. Nice widowmine shot. I don't know if Innovation picked that on purpose, but he got a lot of banelings with that hit. 10 more banelings on the go. 2-2 is about to finish up. He's going to have a nice window here before the Terran's 2-2 is finished. Still another 50 seconds away. 3 seconds for the Zerg player's 2-2. And it's finished up now. It looks like Soulkey's winning this, but the supplies are staying fairly constant. Sorry, next to each other. Reinforcements coming in. Most of the widowmines were cleaned up, but there's still 1 or 2 in this army, 2 in there. Doesn't have the drilling claws yet. That's such a fun upgrade. One that I almost never get, because I almost never go late game Terran when I'm using widowmines. I like mech too much, personally. I don't get these beach chairs. It's such a weird, funky thing to have this separator in the middle. And it sucks for the Zerg player because they got melee units at this point. So what do you do if you're Soulkey? This is smart. Try to pick off medevacs and widowmines where you can. It's always worthwhile. A lot of stim damage happening to these units just as they are. Burrow is about to finish up now. We haven't seen any really good baneling bomb connections. The Zerg player is still sitting pretty comfortably on 4 bases to the Terran's 3. Picking off a few units, just testing the waters out front here. 2-2 is now finished for both players, so there is no... Oh, that tank is with it now. That's nice. That's why you don't see enough of this, I think. Just mixing in a handful of tanks. Tank shots, they sit with you. They shoot faster. The widowmines are awesome, obviously, but if they whiff on their shots, there's not much you can really do about it. Here comes the push. That's my computer slowing everything down. My speed's still where it's supposed to be. That's just my computer chugging away. Pretty good baneling hits there. Supply's fairly constant, but most of the banelings are gone now. Just the one left. It's interesting that banelings count kills, because the only way a baneling can actually have a kill is to kill itself. So you should never technically say a baneling that has any kills on it. That's really funny. I never thought about that before. Mutas taking a fair bit of damage there. Sitting right on top. He did snipe out the widowmine there, which is important. These banelings, they're morphing right in the face of innovation. This is so messy. Widowmine's ready to go. Constant stream of units. Creep's been pretty halted for right now. He's been a little bit too focused on the front here defending to be able to do anything about that. I think that's his Hive tech. Yeah, Hive is not too far away from getting finished. 3-3 on the way for the Terran. Still 2-2 because that Hive is not finished yet for the Zerg player. So that's going to give the Terran a little window of opportunity here. Still doesn't have really that convincing of an army size though. Both players haven't really gone too far past that 170 before trading into each other. Zerg player's got to be very careful he doesn't drag the widowmine shots back into the rest of his army. Innovation has the control and the capability to be able to target fire them like that. Flanks I think would be pretty good too. Getting some units up onto the north here like we see these mutas doing just to try to pick off any straggling reinforcements. Innovation's starting to take a little bit of a supply lead here now. Lots of widowmines out here at the front. Pretty dangerous spot for the Zerg player. He does have those mutas to try and snipe things off. Finally, Innovation's hitting some of that northern creep. These widowmines do not get past the lawn chairs. Adrenal glands on the way now for the Zerg player. Doesn't have the, well, he does have the bank actually for 3-3 to start. I'm very surprised it hasn't. He's actually got a pretty good bank. He might be out of larva right now. No, he's got 23 larvae. He's been hitting his injects. Not too sure what the bank is about right now. Particularly as he could be spending it on those upgrades. He's going to have a really big... There they are. As I say, he's going to have a really big gap between his upgrades and the Terran players. Very minimal hotkeys you see out of the Zerg players. Sometimes it's nice when you get into these heated battles to hotkey your important buildings such as your production buildings. Not production, I mean upgrade buildings. You know what I mean? Leave me alone. Don't answer to you. So Innovation has really worked himself into a great spot down here. At some point, Soulkey's going to hit this breaking point where he's just got to push in with everything he's got and hope for good trades. And I don't know if he can really do that. He's been stuck on these bases. I want to go and check and see the production of Innovation, but I know that there's this really big pushes right now. Pretty big supply lead right now out of Innovation. Soulkey's getting pushed further and further back. Like I said, I'd still love to see a few tanks mixed in here. It's nice that the hover boosts of the medevacs move the water. That's kind of cute. Neato. Neato, guys. I think Soulkey's at this position now where he really has got to try and put pressure back on his opponent. Not the best baneling trades, hit a few marines, but not really enough. Where did... I was say, yeah, the mutas came home. I was about to say, I was worried, did they all die? No, they didn't. Oh man, this is such a funky spot. If there's creep over here, this would be much easier for Soulkey. But because the creep is all gone, he can't really get that surround and that run that he wants to be able to get the baneling connections. As soon as he gets off of creep, he's not going to be able to get that good of speed in that surface area with his units. Man, there hasn't been a stop in the action in this game for like the last 10 minutes. Once the Spire went up at the 10-minute mark, since then, Innovation's been like pressing the front. He's finally getting some damage in on this hatchery. He's moved like a few inches this entire game. Whoa. Look at those mutas. Widowmines. What the hell just happened, Soulkey? You just threw away like 70 supply in an instant. It looks like he wanted to be able to go into maybe eventually some sort of ultralisk play, but his 3-3 is so delayed. Terran's up at 3-3 right now. Tons of medevacs. 11 medevacs in the air. That's it. That's the end of this. Only thing that's coming out right now is zerglings. There's no banelings, no mutas. This game's done. Done like dinner. Speaking of dinner, I need to have dinner here soon. Innovation smells his opportunity, and he just pushes in here. It's interesting to see no infestation pit play. Like, there's no infestors out here hitting anything with fungals or anything like that. Just can't afford that kind of production. GG from Soulkey. Innovation takes the series, best of 5, 3 games in a row. walking over what was a very, very tough opponent for him not that long ago. SeKo Starcraft, thanks for watching, guys, and we'll talk to you real soon.